Hello, welcome back to my channel. As you can probably tell, I got my ghost face order in, the rest of it. If you're new, welcome. Take a moment, hit that subscribe button, but I ended up ordering the highlighter separately because there was issues when the highlighter dropped. So that came right away, and then it took several weeks for me to get the rest of the order. So I have the mirror back there, I have the highlighter, I have the blush, and I have the palette. So the palette is going to be the feature today. Now, when this dropped, everybody was saying that it looked very much like the Chucky palette, which I do have. So here's the Chucky. There it is. So here's the inside of the Chucky. I mean, I can see why they didn't put a bunch of reds in, especially because the Friday the 13th palette has a couple of reds in it and grays, and this is gray and burgundy. So let's open the ghost face and take a look at that. So here is the ghost face and the Chucky. There are some grays, but that's about it. There's maybe, I don't even think the grays are the same. No, there's like a gray that you could argue is similar, but other than that, I think that's where the similarity stops. However, when I first saw this, I instantly thought that this looked like a condensed version of Jeffree Star's Cremated palette. If you're unfamiliar, this is what she looks like, and this is what the ghost face looks like. To me, this is a consolidated version of this. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. If you own this already and you were on the fence about getting this, or you didn't have the money to pick it up, we're going to see if you even needed to. You probably don't need to worry about it. And then I'm also going to throw in some swatches because I do have Colourpop's black. When I bought it, I think it was Blowing Smoke. They renamed it. Mine is not in its original packaging. I depotted all of my plastic monochromatic palettes, so mine is this row down in here. And also, again, that's a very inexpensive condensed version of this. And if you have that little mini palette, do you need to get this? Full disclaimer, this is not a shade at Glamlite. Obviously, I bought this palette. I like the packaging. I liked the theming. The color story wasn't my favorite, but I liked it enough that I bought it. This is more of, if you didn't pick it up, don't feel bad about it, because there's other things that exist, if you own them, that you don't have to feel bad about not picking it up. It's kind of use what you have. And there may be something else in your color story that is also similar to this. These are just the things that I have. So yeah, we're gonna do some swatches. I am gonna do a look on, I'll do one eye with the ghost face. We'll do one eye with the cremated. And then I'll talk a little bit more about the rest of the face products because I do have them on my face. I didn't get the lip kit, but as you saw, I did recreate one of the lip kits. So I'll talk about that at the end. So yeah. If that sounds interesting, stick around. Again, make sure you subscribe. If you are new, welcome. And yeah, we're gonna jump into swatches and then we will get into the eye look. So here are the swatches of the Ghost Face palette in order, starting with Midnight Robe and then ending with Vintage Mask in the Matte. Here are the swatches. Here again is Ghost Face. This is the Cremated palette. Now obviously I didn't have to swatch the entire Cremated palette because it's got more shades, but I couldn't get, the only color that I really couldn't get was this kind of iridescent-y purple, but I think like if you had the purple and was it Bloodlust? The purple palette, that there's probably a shade in there, but I got pretty close with the rest of the shades. We're definitely in the ballpark. And I do like that the Cremated palette has this like super like sparkly black that the Ghost Face palette did not have, but there are those. And I'm gonna try and squeeze the Colourpop swatches right in. I just swatched the entire Colourpop palette. The only shade that I left out was the white, and I did the same thing obviously with Jeffree Star because there's no white in the Ghost Face palette, which I wish they had, but as far as the rest of the shades, they're pretty close, again, to what's going on in here and in here. So just a very much more consolidated version of the Ghost Face palette, but there are all of the swatches. I tried to bring in pretty far. I went ahead and put on, this is the Beauty Creations. It's the black eye base in Blackout. These are only $5. I have not tried this yet, but I figured we'll just throw it on. Normally I use either a flesh toned or a white, but here we are. I normally don't use a brand new eye base with eyeshadow that I haven't really used, so hopefully it goes well. But I'm gonna go in with the black, and I do have like a little makeup towel, so I'm just gonna use the same brushes so that I can try and get the same shape. So this is from the Ghost Face palette, and this is the black in Vintage Mask. And I'm just putting this in the outer corner. This is not going to be a super complicated eye look. I just kind of want to see how the formula is, and then I'm going to do the Cremated palette on the other eye just to see if we can get close, which we should. This is just going to be very, you know, very black smoky eye, nothing crazy. And then it's going to look extra pigmented because of the dark base. Okay, and I'm just cleaning off in between. I'm going to go in with a little bit of Movie Night, which is the lightest shade, the gray. I'm not really sure why there's not a white in this palette. I know, like, they said they didn't do any red because it was supposed to be ghost faced and not scream, which, okay, and I think part of that was they didn't want it to look too much like the Chucky or the Friday the 13th, because those both have grays and like burgundies, and the Friday the 13th has some reds in it. But I'm not sure why they didn't put a white, because he's white and black. So I felt like they should have had a black and white and then kind of gone with the gradient in between, but that's just my opinion. So I will say the Cremated palette does have white, which I'm probably going to use under both eyes, just because I don't really have a good shade to put under my brow bone, and I don't feel like going and getting anything else because that's already here. So it's, what is it, Death Blow is the white out of the Cremated. Any matte white would do. So just grab a white out of another palette if you don't have this, or you don't, you know, aren't interested in the Cremated palette. Okay, that's pretty much all I'm gonna do. Maybe take a little bit more of the gray, just using the lighter gray and the black. Super easy, super fast. I mean, this is a grayscale palette, so I don't know that you're gonna get a ton of variation. Obviously I went super dark, but you've got some taupes, so, and there's taupes in the other palette, so you've got a little bit of varying looks you can do. And I'm just going in with the NYX glitter primer. I use that with all shimmers, so it doesn't really have anything to do with this palette, the other palette, or anything like that. I'd be using this regardless of what palette it was. And I'm going in with the Silver in Midnight Robe. It's the one in the very top. And I'm just gonna put that all over the lid. I do have some red already in my waterline. I have a red lip liner that I only use as an eyeliner. And I will go over the rest of the stuff that's on my face and that is out of the collection at the end. Okay. I wasn't gonna do the Jeffree Star eye on camera, but I only used like 4 shadows counting the white. So I'll do the lower lash line off camera. So in the Jeffree Star palette, the black is called Hearse. I don't have my glasses on, so if I'm squinting when I'm looking at the palette, it's because I legitimately can't see it. I will say, I think the black that I pulled out, at least the little bit that I used, seemed like it was a little bit more pigmented, but in the Cremated palette's defense, I got this palette, it's a couple of years old, so it's not brand new. So I know there's some, you know, formula, a little bit of formula decay that can happen over time with palettes. So it's not brand new, and these are different formulas. So the light gray, I'm trying to look, is probably going to be maybe Life Insurance out of, just taking a little bit more of that black into the crease, and then I'll blend it out. And again, I'm just wiping the same, and this is a Sigma E25. I do have 2 of these. I was just too lazy to dig it out. Okay, and like I said, I think Life Insurance, just looking at it in the pan, there's a couple of lighter grays, but I think that one will do the job. And again, I probably could have used the Colourpop palette and pulled out shades that were in both and gotten a very similar look to this, because there are light grays in that palette and there are blacks, 2 blacks. There's a sequence black and a matte black, but the sequence shade in that palette is actually more pigmented, at least in the one I have. And there is a matte white again, so I think those are just a hair more, you know, well-rounded. I think this truly needed to have a white in it. I'm not really sure why there wasn't one, because like I said, if you're looking at the mask, it's white and black. I don't think I need to harp on that train anymore, but again, with the NYX glitter glue, just on the lid. Not sure what I'm gonna do for the inner corner. I will pick something, but in the Jeffree Star, what is it, Pallbearer? Yeah, we're gonna go in with the shade Pallbearer. In the pan, it doesn't look similar, but when I swatched it, it looks more silvery on the lid. It's very chunky compared to the Glamlite. Again, we're not really comparing formulas so much as tones and vibes. Can we get a similar look? That kind of thing. Definitely not comparing formulas. Okay, so I'm gonna go off camera. I'll finish the eyes and then we'll discuss the rest of the collection and the palettes and all. Still zoomed in. This is the finished look. Liner, mascara. I didn't put any false lashes on because I just didn't feel like it. We have the Tarte Pro mascara. The liners was a combination of Hank and Henry, whatever that is, and then the Ciate Stamp and Drag liner duo. I'm trying to use up some older ones that I have. And then in my water line, that is not the eyeliner. That is it is an eyeliner, but that's what I use for my lips. This is the LA Girl Ultimate. It's a lip liner, but this, because I use it as an eyeliner, stays with my eyeliners. I don't go back and forth. If one becomes, like my black liner that I used for my lips, that will be a lip liner forever now. But this is in Relentless Red, because I could not find a good red eyeliner that I liked, and this works really well. I have a pink one, a hot pink one too, but that is the eyes. Let's zoom out and then we'll go over all of the face stuff. For the lip combo, I used a Bella Pierre. This is just a black gel eyeliner, not a waterproof one, because I was worried about that not coming off. And I have a couple of gel liners. So this will be a permanent like black lip liner. And then it's an Urban Decay Matte Stark Naked. Is that the shade Stark Naked? Okay, it's a matte. The shade is Stark Naked. It's an old one. My friend gave me this when we were still in beauty school. I guarantee you that this is expired. It doesn't smell bad, and I used it. It's just like super pale nude. But I really like, I don't normally like concealer shades like this, but I've always liked this lipstick. So super light nude and a black eyeliner will give you the effect of the one lip kit, which is why I didn't get it. And they did, I think the other one was red. I have a bunch of reds and I don't really, my nose always runs. If you watch my videos before, wouldn't be a normal video. But I didn't need another red. Okay, so we have, and I'll bring the Chucky palette back up here. Okay, so under my eyes, the red shadow I didn't mention is the blush, which is also on my cheeks. I didn't show those on camera because we were more focused on the palettes, but if you want to see a video with me using the face products and then doing another look with just the Glamlite palette, let me know. But this is what I used. The reason I did this is I think the owner did a little video where she showed basically doing the same thing that I just did. Taking the red, putting it under the eye. Now, if you were looking for a Jeffree Star shade, there is a matte red in the original Blood Sugar palette that I think would be comparable to this, but I figured since I have this, I would use it. It is very pigmented. I did like one dip, and I tapped it off, and I'm not normally a tapper offer. I usually will go in. I went in around the edges with my powder puff and then also my powder brush to kind of diffuse because it is very pigmented. So if you are a deeper skin tone, this will be perfect. I do love a red blush. I became obsessed with red blush last Christmas, so I'm happy to have this one. It's nice. And then the highlighter. Today I used the top one, and I've been very careful because I did try the more gold one. You can see I'm like staying, and then this one I went right here because I don't want to disrupt the pan embossings, so I'm using the edge. But I used this one today. It's got a little bit of a pink reflect to it. It's nice. I will say this and the Rick and Morty are the only highlighters from Glamlite that I've used. They're a little bit glittery, like there's micro shimmer in it. So if you don't like glittery highlighters, excuse me, I would stay away from this, but it is pretty. And I do really like the gold one. I think probably more just because I don't wear a ton of colored highlighters like this unless I'm doing a look like this. My husband and I, this is completely irrelevant, are going to dress up. I'm going to be a devil and he's going to be an angel. So I think I'm going to use the gold because I can do it around his cheekbones and around his temples, and it'll give him that really pretty ethereal look without having to do much. So these are really, really nice and they blend really well, but there is micro shimmer. And the lenticulars on them are cool. So there's the highlighter. And what does this one do? Is it bleeding? He's bleeding. Okay. So there are those. Now the palette. Are these formulas the same? No, I think we established that the black that I used in the Ghost Face was a little more pigmented straight out of the gate. But again, this is an older palette. The silvers are not the same formula, but you can get a very similar vibe. And again, I think I could have used the Colourpop palette and gotten the same look because there's a silver, a light gray, and a black. So depends on the looks that you want to do. With this, again, I wish it had a matte white. I do like the taupes. Now, a couple of these taupe shades are a little bit different. Like this shade, There's one in the Jeffree Star palette that I think is pretty close, but this shade I think was a little bit different. So you can get a little bit of variation in looks, but I think a lot of them are gonna come out looking like this or a lighter version of this. But it's a grayscale palette, so I wasn't expecting anything else from it. And again, there's the little hologram on that. Do I think it's similar to the Chucky palette? No. There is a gray in here called Good Guys. And if I was going to compare it to, because the rest of these are like grungy mauves and burgundy, you do have a black, which is in, what is it called? Free Hugs. I'll swatch them. So there's out of the Chucky palette. And then Vintage Mask, I think is more pigmented. There's Vintage Mask. So this pigmentation level is the same to me as the Cremated palette. So this is actually more like what's in the Colourpop. The Sequence Black that is in the Colourpop palette is actually very, very pigmented. And that tends to be the black that I use, because if you tap your brush off, the glitter that's in it goes away and it's just a super pigmented black. So if I was going to compare blacks, I would say the black in Ghostface is more equal to Colourpop, whereas the black in the Chucky palette is more equal to what is in Cremated. And then for the grays, it's kind of in between Ghostly Gray and Movie Night. So here's Ghostly Gray, the light gray in Movie Night, and then you have the Good Guys right there. So it's a little bit darker, I guess. Not exactly the same, which is good. Now, is the Good Guy shade in Cremated? I would almost guarantee you that it is, based on the tone. So there are those. But I like the palette off of initial use. Like the silver was really smooth. If we're comparing it to Cremated, Jeffree Star's shimmer formula is a little chunkier and the glitter is different. So while the looks are both pretty, it's just a different formula. So if you prefer something a little more smooth, I think it's a good palette, but like I said, it's a gray palette. So unless you don't have a bunch of grays, I don't know that this is a need, but it's a good formula. Didn't have any issues with it. It blended really well over the base. The base seems fine. If you've not, again, the Beauty Creation bases are only $5, so they're way cheaper than like the P. Louise. I don't think they're as pigmented as the P. Louise bases, but I think this did a good job of me not having to do much work to get the eyeshadow on. Again, I do have a white base, so if you want to see that, that's really going to show more of what I need to do as far as blending. So let me know. Now, I'm going to ask you guys, did you guys get anything from the collection? It took a while for mine to come. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I had to order the highlighter separately because I wanted the highlighter and I had already put in my initial order. So this came immediately, I think, because it was one item. They packaged it, shipped it, I got it immediately. The rest of the order took weeks. They sent out, you know, the PR bundles that people ordered first. I don't think that they were shipping orders, packaging and shipping orders in order. I think they were, you know, people that ordered the PR packages went out first, and then people that ordered the full collection, which I get it. So there was that. I did order the Friday the 13th palette only because I liked the color story. Jason, I do have Jason masks. That's supposed to be more of like Jason 5 or 6 maybe, and then the Jason X mask. But Jason as a franchise is not my favorite franchise, but I did like the palette, so I do have that coming. And then I believe the Nightmare on Elm Street palette is coming out in November. I think I saw a little video. She got cut off at the end, but it sounded like she was going to wait until next month which I'm filming this in October. So I think the Freddie palette is gonna come out in November. And then I heard there's supposed to be a Michael Myers palette, but I think that collection is gonna be, because she said she's not gonna do another horror collection until 2024. So my guess would be, if we do see a Michael Myers Halloween movie collab palette, it'll probably be around the same time that the Ghostface palette came out, like next September. So that would be my guess. But again, I did get the mirror. He's kind of propped up back here. It's cute. I don't use hand mirrors. I have a couple. I get them occasionally. And the glass is really nice. I don't sit and hold a mirror when I'm doing my makeup. That drives me bananas. So that will probably stay there until I decide to put it in my drawer where my other hand mirrors are. I have a mirror that you never see because it's off camera, so I can prop this up, and then I have another one that's on an actual stand that's upstairs. So I don't hold mirrors. It's a OCD. I don't like things in my hands. So, but yeah, thank you guys so much. Let me know if you guys bought anything from the Ghostface collection. Did you get anything from the Friday the 13th collection? Are you planning on getting anything from the Nightmare on Elm Street collection? Let me know. As of right now, I think the Ghostface stuff is still in stock. I will link Glamlite and the Ghostface, at least the palette, down below. This is also available. You don't have to purchase it from his website. You can. I will link his website with this palette down below, but you can get this on Poshmark. Beauty Bay still sells Jeffree Star. So if you're interested, you can get it used or from a third party. So there's that. And then the Colourpop palette, they take out and bring back. I think it's in stock right now because they usually, if it's out of stock, try and bring it back for around like Halloween. So if it's available, I will link that one also because it's a really good little 9-pan, similar, very similar vibe. Now, if you want to see me do a video where I do the same thing, but I use the Ghostface and the Colourpop palette, I could definitely do that too. So let me know. Again, thank you guys so much. I hope this was helpful. And hopefully I will see you all in another video very soon. Bye, everybody.